Have you ever felt like humans have changed the planet? Well, it turns out we might be more powerful than we think, but most of us are completely unaware of the real impact we're having on Earth. I think it's safe to say that most of us are generally aware that humans have had a significant impact on the environment, but I think what's startling is just how drastic that impact has been. From the air we breathe to the water we drink, our daily decisions are having far-reaching consequences that are quietly shaping the future of our planet. We're not just talking about a few scattered problems here and there. We're talking about a system-wide crisis that's affecting every corner of the globe. We're talking about beaches littered with trash, forests shrinking at an alarming rate, and species disappearing before our very eyes. It's hard to comprehend the sheer scale of what's happening. But before we dive into the details, it's worth taking a step back and acknowledging that this isn't just an environmental issue. It's a fundamentally human one. Our choices, our habits, our consumption patterns, they're all interconnected, and they're all contributing to this complex web of problems. Over the past few decades, environmental issues like climate change, deforestation, and pollution have escalated at an alarming rate. Here are some expert opinions on climate change, deforestation, and pollution. Dr. Michael E. Mann, a distinguished climate scientist and professor at Penn State University, has extensively studied climate change. He states,
"The scientific consensus is clear. Climate change is real, it's happening now, and it's primarily caused by human activities. The evidence is overwhelming, and the impacts are already being felt globally."
Dr. Thomas Lovejoy, a renowned ecologist and National Geographic Fellow, emphasizes the critical impact of deforestation.
Deforestation is not just about losing trees, it's about losing entire ecosystems that are vital for our planet's health. The Amazon rainforest, for example, plays a crucial role in regulating the Earth's climate and supporting biodiversity. We must act now to protect these vital resources.
Professor Philip Steer from the University of Oxford highlights the urgency of addressing pollution.
Air pollution is a major public health issue, causing millions of premature deaths each year. Reducing pollution is not just about improving air quality, it's about safeguarding our health and the environment. Immediate action is necessary to mitigate these harmful effects.
Climate change in particular has become a ticking time bomb, with rising temperatures threatening to upend entire ecosystems and disrupt the delicate balance of our planet. Deforestation has reached crisis levels, with millions of acres of forest lost every year. And pollution, well, that's a story in and of itself, with plastic waste choking our oceans and toxic chemicals seeping into our soil and air. But what's truly shocking is that these problems aren't happening in isolation. They're interconnected, and they're feeding into each other in ways that are both subtle and profound. Take climate change, for example. It's not just about rising temperatures. It's about the ripple effect that those temperature increases have on everything from sea levels to weather patterns. So let's break this down into some structured points. On the topic of habitat destruction, the numbers are staggering. We're losing species at a rate that's 100 to 1,000 times higher than the natural rate of extinction. That's not just a problem for the animals themselves. It's a problem for the entire ecosystem. Dr. Gerardo Ceballos, a professor at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, discusses loss of habitat and species.
Yes, we are losing species at a rate that is 100 to 1,000 times higher than the natural background rate of extinction. This accelerated rate of biodiversity loss is largely driven by human activities such as habitat destruction, climate change, pollution, and overexploitation of resources. The consequences of this rapid decline are profound, affecting ecosystem services that are vital for human well-being, such as pollination, water purification, and climate regulation. Immediate and transformative actions are necessary to halt and reverse this trend to preserve the intricate web of life on Earth.
Carbon emissions are another critical issue. Right now, we're releasing around 36 billion metric tons of CO2 into the atmosphere every year. To put that in perspective, that's equivalent to the weight of around 8 billion people flying from New York to LA and back again. According to Dr. Michael E. Mann, a distinguished climate scientist and professor at Penn State University,
carbon emissions are the primary driver of recent global warming. The increase in atmospheric carbon dioxide levels due to human activities, such as burning fossil fuels and deforestation, has led to a significant rise in global temperatures. This warming effect is well documented and supported by extensive scientific evidence, including computer-based climate models and observational data. Immediate and substantial reductions in carbon emissions are essential to mitigate the worst impacts of climate change and ensure a sustainable future for our planet.
Carbon emissions are not just a climate issue, but a financial issue for societies across the globe. Here's an expert financial opinion from Dr. Robert Stambaugh, a professor at the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania.
Corporate carbon emissions represent a significant financial burden on society. By quantifying the carbon burden, we can better understand the hidden costs of greenhouse gas emissions and their impact on a firm's value to society. This measure helps reveal the true economic and social costs of carbon emissions, emphasizing the need for companies to adopt more sustainable practices.
Biodiversity loss is another ticking time bomb. We're losing forests, we're losing wildlife, and we're losing the delicate balance of our ecosystems. It's estimated that up to 1 million species are currently facing extinction. And that's not even counting the ones we haven't discovered yet. And then there's the issue of pollution. We're producing around 300 million tons of plastic waste every year, and most of it isn't getting recycled. Instead, it's ending up in our oceans, where it's choking our marine life and polluting our food chain. But here's the thing. This isn't just an environmental problem. It's a social justice issue too. Poor communities and communities of color are disproportionately affected by environmental degradation, from toxic waste dumps to polluted air and water. We're not just talking about statistics here. We're talking about real human lives. We're talking about children growing up in pollution-choked cities, about families forced to flee their homes because of rising sea levels, and about entire communities devastated by environmental disasters. To drive home these points, let's look at some compelling examples and data. Take the Great Barrier Reef, for instance. Back in the 1980s, it was considered one of the most pristine ecosystems on the planet. Fast forward to today, and it's been devastated by climate change, pollution, and habitat destruction. Or, take the issue of species extinction rates. Right now, we're losing around 200 species every day. That's around 70,000 species per year. To put that in perspective, that's around 1,000 times the natural rate of extinction. And then there are the visuals, the footage of affected ecosystems, the images of polluted landscapes, the videos of plastic waste choking our oceans. These are more than just statistics. They're a window into a world that's rapidly unraveling before our very eyes. Now, some of you might be thinking, but what about human innovation? Can't we just solve these problems with technology and science? And that's a fair point. Innovation has the potential to be a game changer when it comes to environmental issues. But here's the thing. Innovation can only take us so far. At the end of the day, we need to confront the underlying systems and structures that are driving these problems in the first place. We need to rethink our consumption patterns, our energy systems, and our entire approach to the natural world. So what's the takeaway from all of this? Simply put, we need to take responsibility for the impact we're having on the planet. We need to acknowledge the scale of the problem, and we need to start making changes, both individually and collectively. So I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this issue? Do you think we can turn things around, or are we too far gone? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're eager to learn more, be sure to check out our related video on the role of sustainability in the modern world.